What's up, guys? Welcome to the Jesse Garnier Show again, where we got this new rising star, this up and coming guy. He's come in like what, 2.5 months ago?
2.5, 3 months.
2.5 months ago, 3 months. He's been working directly with me, and just kind of like this guy. I wanted to bring him in here to do this interview for a couple reasons. For one, just because he has been absolutely proving that if you show up and you just do the work, you will achieve the results. Now, before, we've had some people who've been in for like a year, 2 years, some people who've done some really big results financially so far. This guy's going to be one of the next up and coming killers. He's been killing it so far. He's only 2 months in, and he's already like implementing everything that we teach. He's doing everything. He's just showing up, and like the results are already starting to roll in for him. So I just love I want to get his story, and I want to share that with you guys. So Jordan, what was your life like before you kind of got into this business?
So every day, just work 12, 14 hours a day, drilling rigs, service rigs. I just did not want that anymore. Like, I almost missed my children's birth. Like, everything was evolving around work and no time for anything else.
So a lot like my story, you had the young kids. Your kids are actually pretty much the exact same age as mine. Like, you got a pretty much 4-year-old boy and a 2-year-old girl, right?
Yeah.
Exact same as me. That's why. And like, this is another reason why this business is so cool, because you can actually find people who are pretty much just like you, and just become friends with them and just hang out, and like now our kids have more friends, and like it's great in all really areas. But so just like me, you just had this moment where you're like, you know what, I see my life going this way, and you look at all the people who are like in their 50s and 60s, they got their broken backs, their shoulders are messed up, they can't even bend down because their knees are messed up, and like that's correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like what you're saying is like you looked into your future and that's what you seen, and you just wanted to eliminate that, and you wanted to jump into something different.
So yeah, basically nothing worse than going to work where you think you're going to build a life, and all you hear at the end of the day is guys complaining about how their life is going. So I just looked at myself and I was like, do I really want to grow old and be exactly that person? Or do I want to change and be something better, do something better for me and my family? So I jumped and I just did what I had to do and get that change that I want. So,
if you don't mind me asking, what are some of the initial struggles? Like, I know you've only been doing this 2.5 months, but I'm sure there's been some ups, there's been some downs. Like, what are some of the initial struggles and hurdles that you had to overcome to get to this point so far?
Biggest struggle is time. How do you balance time between working all day and trying to build a business? So I had to cut out a lot of activities after work just to build this business. I think that was one of the main struggles, but also financially. I don't do activities all the time. I cut that out to put more money into my business and grow me and my family all together and build that business that I want.
So you kind of have like that vision of the short-term hustle versus the long-term gain. So it's like, I'm going to put the work in right now. I'm going to work at your welding job. You're going to come home. You're going to put the hours in on your business. You're going to fit time in for your kids and your wife. And like, you're going to do that right now. You're willing to do that because the issue I see a lot of times is people aren't willing to do those kind of things. They aren't willing to sacrifice watching that movie late at night to build something for their future, even though what they don't realize is that if you were able to just take that hour or 2 hours that you watch TV or whatever, just as an example, if you're able to take that time and put it into something productive, that you're building something for your future, you're going above and beyond what most people are willing to do at their 9-to-5 job, and you're building something that you can, like, literally, it'll sustain your family long term. But it's going to take some short-term hustle. You're going to have to actually make those decisions, and even though it might be easy to just sit down and like chill out with your family, it's even easier to sit down and chill out with your family. But what you've come to awareness of is that that's not going to get you closer to your goals, which is being able to be there with your family full time. So it feels like you're going a little bit backwards because you're putting in all the hours at your regular job, you're putting in all the hours at the business, you're trying to fit your family in whenever you can. And I have a really important question for you, something that I struggled with when I was going through that same kind of transition phase. Do you find that like it can be a little bit tough with the family and everything going on, because you do want to be there with the family, but you also know that you have to put in the time on this because the gain is going to be so much bigger. Do you find any of that?
Yeah, so they're good supporters. They understand that if we want to get to where we want to get, like, we have to sacrifice some time. We live by a strict schedule, and we just make it happen. I don't watch TV. I don't do any social activities. It's strictly business and family, and that's it. That's all I do, and I got goals and I want to hit them.
That's it, man. You're just like me. Yeah, like everything you're saying so far, I'm just like, I'm putting myself right back to where you are, man. Just so you know, if you even look up to me, even in the slightest bit, like where you're headed is, you can just look at my life and be like, that's where I'm going. You have a visual representation, like we're the same, bro. So another question I have for you is just like, what are some of the goals that you do have now that we kind of got on the goals topic? Like, what are some of the things you are striving for? What, like, once you get to that point where you no longer have to go to work, you're no longer a welder, that's in the past. Like, what are some of the things that you do want to go towards at that point?
So one of my biggest goals is obviously more family time. So I'm making that sacrifice right now so that long term I can do whatever I want with my family. I don't have to miss anything. That is one of my biggest goals, just basically being with my family all the time. And it's getting there, but a lot of time is going towards the business. So that's my main goal, basically sacrifice now and then gain later.
Yeah, man. It's all about just like putting in the time now, because it could be 2 more months and then you're home full time with your family, right? So doing that short term 2 to 3, even if it took, just to blow it way out of perspective and just kind of open up the bigger picture, even if it took 5 years for you to like be doing this grind and doing this hustle, going to the welding gig, coming home, putting in the hours on the business, hanging out with your family whenever you can, even if that took 5 years, like, would that be worth it to you?
100%.
To be able to get to a point where you no longer have to worry about finances, you can do whatever you want with your kids, whenever you want, take them to school, be there with them, go to their soccer games, basketball games, hockey, whatever it is that they want to do, take them traveling, dirt biking, I know your son's into that.
Yeah.
So like 5 years, man, like even if it took that long, which it's not going to at the rate you're going, but if it did, like for me it'd be totally worth it.
Yeah, I think it's worth it because 5 years is such a short period of time when you actually think about it. If we live for 70 years and you can do that in 5, you're gonna have a pretty good life.
You're gonna have a good life. Your kids are gonna be like, your oldest will be 10, like 9, 10, and then you are there 100% of the time from that moment forward for them, right? Where if you don't do the sacrifices now and you just keep going down the same traditional road as everyone else, you're with them 50%, 30 to 50% of the time for the rest of their life, right? Or for the rest of your life. And like, it's, so to me it makes perfect sense. I just wanted to give a perspective for anyone who could be watching this. So another question I have for you is, since you are fairly new in this, what are some of the initial kind of things, tips, maybe 1 or 2 tips that you could give to somebody who's watching this, who's kind of on the fence, maybe thinking about this? What's just 2 or 3 things that you could give them to offer as advice, just because for me it's a little bit hard because it was such a long time ago to go back, but for you it's like, what are some of those few things that you would offer as advice to those people?
Number 1, don't give up. I think you can get over anything as long as you just don't give up. And number 2, be patient. Sometimes seem like you're not getting anywheres, but if you can just ride it out, be patient, good things are gonna come. So.
Awesome, man. One last thing that I always ask on these shows is just like, just for my own kind of perspective, is what's one of the biggest takeaways you've ever learned just from me personally?
If you dream it, you're gonna get there. Make it happen.
Awesome, dude. Thanks for coming out. If anyone wants to follow you on Facebook or Instagram, like how do they find you?
Jordan K. Sylvain.
Jordan K. Sylvain, at Jordan K. Sylvain. Go and follow him. Watch this guy. He's going to do great things. You're going to not want to miss this. That wraps up this episode of the Jesse Garnier Show. See you next time.